Morning. It's Wednesday, March 22nd, and we're here in Courthouse Square, Center Hearing Room, 555 Court Street Northeast for a weekly Board of Commissioners meeting, and welcome all. And we start our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, so please join us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Well, I think I'm not supposed to say this, but it doesn't look like a real busy agenda this morning. Commissioner Carlson is gone, obviously, so let's just begin. Our first item is always public comment, a chance where public can come in and talk to us about anything they'd want. Nobody has signed up for that opportunity, so Commissioner, if we could get right to our consent calendar.
We had a lot of public comment last night.
We did. We
Yeah, it was
talked about
really
that
good.
at the end, maybe.
Okay, so, Mr. Chair, I'll move the consent calendar. First item is to approve an order under the Board of Commissioners to approve an order revising Policy 525 and Procedure 525A, Animals in the Workplace. Poor Bill. Approve orders appointing Health Department staff to various boards, committees, and roles. Under Community Services, approve the revised Marion County Fair Board bylaws. Under Health, approve Amendment Number 4 with Lane County to reduce revenue sharing by $60,968 for food handlers testing. Also under Health, approve Amendment Number 1 with intercommunity health plans in the amount of $270,000 for residential substance use disorder services. And under Juvenile, approve a submission for the 2017-19 Marion County Juvenile Crime Prevention Plan to the Youth Development Division.
All right, I second the motion. Any further discussion?
No, sir.
Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Morning, John.
Consent calendar approved. We have two action items this morning. The first, under Community Services, we consider authorizing use of $35,000 from the lottery funds in the county's economic development program for the Detroit Lake Marina Enhancement Project for needed surveys and services. Tamara Getch, James Labar, Commissioner Cameron. Who's going to start?
I'll go ahead and start, Commissioners. My name is Tamara Getch. I'm the Director of Community Services, and as mentioned, we're here to talk about allocation authorization from the Commissioners for some funds in our economic development for the Detroit Lake Marina Enhancement Project. I have with me this morning James Labar, who has been working in more detail with this particular project and can speak to the progress to date and the importance of these 4 surveys to move the project forward. James?
Good morning, Commissioners. James Labar, Governor Kate Brown's Mid-Valley Regional Solutions Coordinator. For the past almost 10 to 11 months, Regional Solutions, in conjunction with Marion County, 2 marine operators on Detroit Lake Marina and Canes Marina, and a series of agencies hosted within the federal government and the state government have been working on a project to try to enable the 2 marinas on Detroit Lake to be more economically resilient. As you're both aware, United States Army Corps of Engineers has very long-held, strict operating guidelines for Detroit Lake. And because of that, and all of the demands that are placed upon that water within that reservoir, it comes at an impact to those marinas in not having a certain operating season and not having a lengthy operating season. So we've embarked with the marinas in supporting their efforts to become more economically resilient by trying to make their season more certain and also try to lengthen their season. And since we're not going to change the parameters of how the Corps operates the dam, nor are we going to try to increase the storage capacity of that dam, what we're going to try to do is enable the marinas to reach lower reservoirs and also to do some strategic excavation around the marinas in order to have an operating pool that they can operate at. So we have operated with, again, United States Corps of Engineers, Department of State Lands, United States Forest Service, Department of Environmental Quality, Marine Board, and a host of other agencies in order to figure out a plan about how to do that. We've broken the plan up into 2 phases. We are currently in phase 1, which I like to affectionately call pilings, potties, and planks. And so we're working with those marinas to work on those 3 Ps, and we've able to get a series of grants in order to help those marinas do that, get some money to build the planking, get some grant money in order to put in some pilings, and we've got the necessary permits to do the pilings and the necessary permits to do the planking. And then they're also working on replacing and upgrading their, for lack of a better term, restroom facilities there on the marina. And then phase 2 is a much larger project which will require a series of other permits. And that phase 2 is all about strategic excavation. So it's removing a certain amount of cubic yards underneath the reservoir right there surrounding the 2 marinas, and then finding a place to dispose of those soils that are not going to impact other environmental conditions around in the region. And so in order to do that, you need a series of studies and a series of surveys to get a series of permits. And this $35,000 will go after getting those series of surveys to get those series of permits. The most interesting thing, I think, about getting those surveys to go after those investments on that land is really that the land is sitting in a very interesting place where it's not private land, and it's land that is part of the United States Forest Service, but also part of the Corps of Engineers. So it has this hybrid characteristic of public-private, and so it seems doing these studies would be a very public-private action, and I think the request here for the funds is exactly that. So.
Thank you, and thanks for all your involvement. It seems like things get done when you're involved. Commissioner.
Yeah, I just want to thank James and the governor's office for all the help in moving things forward, and also Congressman Schrader's office and Jonathan, all the work he's done. This goes back to kind of a fun afternoon, actually, where we took a trip up the canyon with the congressman and looked at several different things. And Dave Zahn, our deputy up there, took him out on a boat ride. In fact, he was taking pictures and sending them back because he was so excited about, hard work as a congressman. But we actually went out on the lake and saw it firsthand last year when the water was down. And I think all the things that we're doing in community services, and even before I got here, the work that you did on the economic study, and this is just one little piece up there. And James describes this even better than I can. You've got a marina owner up there, or a couple of marinas owners up there that have other businesses, and we didn't even talk about that, but one of the marina owners has an ice business up there, and if he's not successful in this marina financially and long term, both those businesses go away, and you end up with losing probably 10 or 15 employees. And in Detroit, Oregon, 10 or 15 employees is like 1,000 down here in Salem, or what? I don't know what the comparison would be. So this is really critical, and it's great use of our lottery funds. In fact, it'd be really neat to put a banner up there when we get this project done, completed by Marion County. Lottery funds went towards doing this. So this is a big step, but there's some bigger steps after that we get through this process. This will get us to the point where we'll find out how much it's really going to cost to complete phase 2, and that'll be a big number, we think. But hopefully we'll find some partners, maybe even Public Works can help in some way, and some of our local excavators that would be able to help us with some of this work. So excited to see it move forward.
This is a minor observation, just my personal experience of even when it was kind of midsummer, going down to the docks, wife and I, Tammy, and it was kind of all I could do, holding on to the rail and about for steep, and then I watched a fella try to Lord knows what he has in it, but that's fun too.
Ice chest.
But an ice chest on wheels and think, gee, don't get below that. So I'm thinking there's a minor thing, but it's a convenience for the people who are going to be using it for a longer period
And
of time.
safety.
To not be so steep. That's
Yeah,
exactly what I'm
right.
trying to say.
Yeah.
So I'm all for this project.
So commissioners, before you today is not, we're just asking for authorization to utilize the resources for these purposes. Community Services will bring forward an action to the board when that is determined through finance and legal counsel, the proper steps, whether that be a contract, an RFP, et cetera. But you will see this again in some form.
Okay.
Okay. Mr. Chair, if I may, authorize the use of $35,000 from lottery funds in the county's economic development program for Detroit Lake Marina Enhancement Project for needed surveys and services.
Second motion. Further discussion? Just this, I understand that this moves it along, and I again thank everybody involved in trying to make things work. Anything else?
That's good.
All right, then call a question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Again,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Our next action item is in Public Works. We consider approval of an order for the purchase of real property at 1700 and 1770 Water Street Northeast in Salem, jointly with the City of Salem, and delegate authority to Alan Haley, Marion County Cable Officer, to sign the necessary paperwork. So Alan, I know what this project is, but would you describe it? And we'll go.
Certainly, Mr. Chair. Commissioners, Alan Haley with Public Works, second hat being cable officer for Marion County. CCTV was moved into their current facilities several years ago, but when the building was built, the allowance for a garage had to go away for basically savings opportunities and to come within funding that was allowed. So they've since been looking for a garage to house their production vehicles, and we've finally come across one. This property at 1700 and 1770 Water Street, it's two tax lots, but it's just a corner lot basically on Water Street, is really well set up for the building or for the use. They can store their 3 vehicles there and provide a little bit of training facility around the actual production trucks, which is what they've been looking for. The Cable Regulatory Commission approved us moving forward with a purchase and sale agreement subject to the approval of both the Marion County Commission and the City Council's approval of the actual purchase of the property. The sale price for the property is $550,000. There was $10,000 put down as earnest money. And after we executed the sales agreement, we went ahead and had a title report done, an appraisal, and an inspection. It passed the inspection. There are a few modifications that will have to happen to the building to make sure that the largest vehicle will fit in, but there's just a false wall that's in there that needs to come down. But we otherwise passed electrical and roof inspections. Title report was clear. So we're looking at today to ask approval from the board for the actual purchase of the property. And if so, then to delegate to me the ability to go ahead and sign the documents along with the City of Salem to execute the purchase.
Thank you, Alan. I'm on the Cable Regulatory Board. This has been a long-standing problem. I don't know, Commissioner, if you've noticed CCTV's truck out on the street, they hold trainings there. It's kind of always in the way of traffic. And there's a lesson here not related, but one that I often think of. It's when you're, especially in construction, when you get down to those situations of cutting corners, making budgets, giving up things. This was all designed, as Alan said originally, to be in their building. And because of that, they've been out on the street. They've been looking for properties all this time. One of them that looked real good, turned out that it flooded annually, so that didn't work. And then they looked at an airplane hangar that was available and got into some different regulations and things. And I don't know what, they couldn't pull that off anyway, although it might have worked. didn't seem like the right use for an airplane hangar. Anyway, so my point is, when you're doing something, really work hard to finish it correctly, because you'll pay for it always.
So, Mr. Chair, if I may, so 550,000, Alan, where are the funds coming? I was trying to look that up. The funds to purchase this going to be coming from?
This is coming from the CRC. The city and county both contribute funds for operation of CCTV, and then there is a capital fee that is paid on the Comcast bills, specifically for capital purchases. And this is coming from that, which goes directly to CCTV. And this money is coming out of those capital funds. It's called PEG fees for public education and government.
Okay.
And this is an allowed use of those capital funds for making this purchase, because it goes directly against the production trucks and vehicles that are used for PEG programming.
Okay, great.
Alan, if I can ask, and I should know this already, but a new franchise being negotiated, just about wrapped up, does that affect those PEG fees? Or really, guess I'm asking, are they secure for the future?
They're secure for the future. At this point, we've not changed the percentage amount inside the franchise agreement. It's gone up and down as we've negotiated, but at this point, it's moving forward with the same level of PEG fees as in the past.
Okay, because that obviously would affect the ability to repay, or affect a lot of things.
Correct.
All right,
The other, if I may. Oh,
go
John.
ahead. Well, John.
John, no,
let's-
go ahead, John.
Yeah, we gotta let him in.
We need to have the
He's
vote.
be voting on it anyway.
Yeah. You're gonna let me vote?
Might,
Okay.
Might need
if you vote
might
with the
need to.
majority.
I think folks need to know that Alan has spent enormous amount of time and hours working on this franchise agreement with Comcast. Has it been 7 years that we've been working on that?
Just short of 8.
Hey,
Who's counting?
yeah, but who's counting?
I
I
am.
think we're getting close, though, with a new franchise agreement with Comcast. Am I correct?
Yes.
So you should be seeing a new franchise agreement soon. But it took a while to
Yes, I know.
deal with those folks.
Commissioner, yes.
Yeah, so bringing us back to the topic of, in front of us here, Water Street, talked about flooding.
Sounds bad.
I'm just familiar with that area. This is right to the west of Front Street is there flooding issues there? Or has there been in the past?
Not according to our inspection and title reports.
Okay, right.
So you can see the river through the trees, but only in this time of year.
Riverview property, that's what I always tell my wife
worth
about
more.
the Lakeview property in the fall. You can see right through the little trees where the leaves fall off. Yeah.
All right.
It's not Lakeview, she said.
So,
All right, Mr. Chair, I'm sorry.
no,
back to
I
the
started
topic.
it. So, but if, I would like a motion and we'll get serious
right.
again.
Mr. Chair, I'll move that we approve an order of the purchase of real property at 1700 and 1770 Water Street Northeast, Salem, jointly with the City of Salem, and delegate authority to Alan Haley, Marion County Cable Officer, to sign the necessary paperwork.
All right, I'll second the motion. Any further discussion? Don't hear any, so call a question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you and
Thank you, Commissioners.
good luck.
And thanks from Alan
Oh,
Bouchon.
did he?
He said aye.
It
too.
was unanimous.
It was unanimous. John said yes too.
Perfect.
Oh, man.
We ought to give him an honorary title or something.
Yeah, right.
No, not honorary.
Thanks, Alan. Good to see you. Thank you for last night again, too.
All right, next
Maybe I should clarify
I
on
want
the
to talk
record.
about one more thing before we're done here this morning, but I'll read now the places we'll be together in the coming week. Shorter list than we've seen in some time. It's not on here, but I'm heading to Tillamook, legitimate trip to, for senior services meeting to be held there tomorrow. Monday, the 27th, 8:30 to 9, calendar review, Silverton Conference Room, 555 Court Street Northeast in Salem. That'll be followed in the same location with a management update meeting at 9 o'clock to 11. Again, Silverton Conference Room. Also Monday, 11 to noon, Board of Commissioners Chief Administrative Officer meeting, executive session if necessary pursuant to ORS 1928802, and boys, almost all of them, A, B, D, F, H, and I. And that'll be in Silverton Conference Room, 5th floor, 555 Court Street. Tuesday's a fun one. 4 o'clock to 6, we meet and greet with Carrie Muller, a new health
Yay.
director, and that'll be in the Silver Falls Conference Room at the Health Department, 3180 Center Street, Salem. I want to invite the public especially, we'll try to get word out for an opportunity to meet her. We just chose her to replace Rod Calkins, and want to wish her well, and I'm pretty confident she will do well. Next week, same time for our weekly board session here in the Senator Hearing Room, first floor, 555 Court Street Northeast in Salem. And then we'll rush out a bit. At 11:30 to 1, we'll have another of our county community forum. This will be in Woodburn at the Woodburn Estates Golf Course, 1776 Country Club Road in Woodburn. Don't you have a golf cart? You can drive it around there.
I do have one in my garage.
I'll
Yeah.
meet you there by the overpass then. All right, real quickly, and I don't really want to get into it, it's not a scheduled item, but maybe some general impressions. We had quite a meeting last night, the second that you've been
And
at.
that's what I thanked Alan for, just to clarify.
Oh,
For being at that meeting last night.
Okay.
Yeah.
having to do with traffic issues in North Marion County. Well attended, it was held in St. Paul, certainly over 100, I didn't count, maybe 150 people. We were presented with a petition signed by 500, and it said 47, but now I'm hearing numbers 51, so a pretty significant amount of the population in that area, so I don't take it lightly. We need a chance somewhere to discuss it. And I don't know where we go from there. I don't know, we can talk about it more at management update when,
I think that's a good idea, Mr. Chair. We should bring it up and probably bring Alan and the sheriff in, because it involves safety, it involves engineering projects. And it was limited just to the west side of the I-5, which I don't think is very appropriate. There's so much, a larger vision up there of what is happening from traffic issues. And I think that'd be a good place to actually have a discussion, and then potentially we invite some people here to maybe share.
yeah, I don't really want to have a
Yeah.
debate, but I kind of have to go on record on how I feel about it in some forum. But I don't want it to be one-sided.
Right.
What I was envisioning, maybe, we can talk about it more, but maybe just some type of discussion with the authors of the petition and make sure we're at least clear on what's really being asked for or what it really means.
Yeah, because I think there's some legitimate concerns and
Oh, I've
issues
got
on that
them
petition.
myself.
We agree with that, and but how you handle it, how you work through it, I think is the issue of where we need to have some sort of a civic discussion about that.
But then maybe, Commissioner, on the meeting itself, I was very pleased. I just went to listen in. You had organized or been part of the first one, and I got reports on it. But people have a lot of concerns, and I wanted to know what they were. But our sheriff department did a wonderful presentation of all the different things they've done to try to traffic safety primarily. Public Works talked about the things they've done and the things they want to do, one of which I didn't know existed, but they have a new stop sign actually that, what did she say, the numbers were 48 inches instead
Bigger.
of 36, but they're bigger, brighter. She says, unless you're texting or something, I don't know how you're gonna miss this one. So, but those are all little things that help a lot. And then, of course, all the different thought and engineering, gathering resource we're doing to try to take care of particular facilities, Eland Road and Boone's Ferry, that we're working on. But they went through that very well. So I was pretty happy with the information given, happy with everything except probably the petition itself. That's what I'll tell you.
Yeah, I'm just reading my notes. I had them in my pocket when we came down here, and I think that one of the issues, it's the three E's, the engineering, enforcement, and education. And I think the presentations last night, the Sheriff's Department did a great job on the education. How do we continue to educate people? For, the farmers. You remember the farmers were just saying, hey, it's getting harder and harder to drive my farm equipment down the road, and people are being aggressive and passing on curves and all that stuff. And Is that education? Is it enforcement? And I know that Commander Ladd met with some of those farmers last night. I actually got on Facebook a comment from Molly, is it McGregor up there, and put her in touch with the sheriff's department. I think that they can go up and do some
Was
things.
she there last night?
No, she wasn't. She
Okay.
said, in fact, her comment was, I wish I would have been notified. So we're going to reach out to the Farm Bureau next time to help them produce the notices when we're meeting up there. But there's some things that we can do within our existing resources. But one of the comments by by a constituent last night was, he turned around to the crowd and said, are you willing to pay for the things that we need to do up here? Remember that?
Yes.
On gas tax or whatever it was. And Bill Post, Representative Post was there and asked them to email him what they were willing to pay on a gas tax. But I know that there's some other issues over there on this transportation package. I'll be,
So-called clean fuels. I can't pass this.
I will be surprised if we get a transportation package out of the legislature. We need it desperately, but there's a lot of politics behind what's going on over there. The other thing was there was a couple bills that I thought Representative Post could file. Headlights on all the time throughout the state. He could file that one. That'd be a good
There's a story there,
mandate.
as he was telling, if I can interrupt for a minute. Just yesterday, I'm pulling out by the fire hall in Sublimity, and you can see both ways. And there's one of these huge jacked up pickups, but it's black. But I almost pulled out in front of him, and I noticed, gee, if he had his lights on, I would have seen that. It's funny that would come up just hours later, but it is, why
Yeah.
not?
And a lot of cars now automatically,
Yeah,
the
they
lights,
just do.
the lights come on. I know mine
It makes a difference.
do, yeah. And then the other one that I thought would be a really good one that was a comment that lady had about people who, I shouldn't look over there, people like me, when I get my driver's license renewed, don't have to take the test. And she was saying about, re-educating people, and there may be something there to help us re-educate ourselves about what the laws really are. Because once you take the test and get your driver's license, you don't take a test unless you're going for an endorsement or something else like that. And then the last thing that we brought up was, again, on are we willing to pay for this? I know the sheriff is working on a potential of how do we potentially look at funding 20 additional deputies on top of our 37 that we have, which would give us a real nice presence up there. But we would have to do a levy, and the people would have to say, yes, they want that. Funding, but we're working hard with the resources that we have to get things done. So pleased with how it went. I see you're
Yeah,
wanting to
he's
say
gearing
something.
up
Chair,
for something.
well,
You gotta tell us what a good driver he is,
I
I think.
was thinking I was hearing an ageist remark there, but
No, I looked
I-
at myself after I looked at you.
after he looked at me, I honestly believe, and I'm an old guy, but I think that we ought to have better driving tests for people of my age.
I don't think it's an age issue. I think it's, when you're 16 and you get your driver's license, I don't know how long you get it for. We get it for what, 8 years now? They extended it?
I don't know that.
Something like that, yeah.
I think it's 8 years. I could look mine up. But I think it's one of those things that every so often you ought to be able to say what the laws are, because, you don't always remember everything.
You could make the case there's changes in laws, and since I was 16, that
Right.
they assume everyone knows, but do they?
Yeah,
One
I
of
think
the-
that's a safety issue.
One of the things we do at our neighborhood association meeting, every meeting, is we have an officer there that talks about and answers questions about the laws around driving. And it's always interesting, some of the questions that come up from our neighbors, because they really don't know the laws around driving.
Or maybe if you've had a speeding ticket in a school zone or in a construction zone, when you go to get your license renewed, maybe you should have to take the test. I'm looking at myself
Yeah,
again.
right, you're looking, okay, fine. That's statute of limitations.
I got it in the construction zone.
Well, no, I'm not confessing to anything.
Okay.
I was innocent. Now, I was, number two. some facilities changes. There's a new, and we didn't talk about it, I wish I would have, Alan. I believe the new four-way, there's a new four-way stop in St. Paul itself. It used to be like yellow coming from the north, and I think Jerry Mullen was right. There was a right turn permitted with a green arrow that I didn't see anymore as we walked out, so I know that's changed. I don't know where I'm going with that, but there was a few suggestions, in particular, driving aids and facilities that I would like to talk with Public Works about that came up too. All right, anyway, an interesting night, long night, I'm tired.
But the night before, I was at state and city council.
What'd
And
they talk about? West
their
Town?
pool,
Oh,
their pool. And it went really well. In fact, the city manager came up to me afterwards and said, we haven't had a meeting that's under 2 hours all year, and you show up, and this one was an hour. So I said, good.
my meetings are never over 2 hours, just so you know.
It went well.
We're done, the 2 hour mark.
And then I had
But we got some time
Well-
to spare here.
we had Thursday night, I was up in the canyon for the, I think that was Thursday night.
Oh, in Gates?
Yeah, it was either
Yes.
Wednesday or Thursday night in Gates. So that was 2 weeks in a row. The week before, we were up at Little North Fork for that community meeting. You were there with me. And then the Gates, I did the State of the County. And then yesterday, we did the update State of the County at the Salem Chamber. And where else have we been? Oh, Silverton,
State and two, Rotary.
State and Rotary. So we've been out and about a lot and representing the entire county. So
It has been a busy time.
putting miles on.
All right, with that said, I can't think of anything else to waste people's time on, so is there?
Hello, Commissioner?
All right, oh yes, think she's watching?
Oh, I'm guessing. Well,
Well, then
maybe not
try to
live,
look a little
but-
more professional, would you?
all right.
Let's call this meeting adjourned.